First of all, very good morning to all of you. My name is Marius Navickas. I'm head of operational marketing at Teltonika Networks, and together with my team, we focus on the use cases of our products. We train our clients, we train our sales guys, and essentially we try to create the face of Teltonika Networks on the web that we believe in and that we want to highlight the most. So thank you so much for attending the first Teltonika Networks webinar. The turnout is really amazing, and I hope that it's only that's only a start. We might need to talk to Zoom to upgrade our capacity after this one though. So today my goal is to introduce to you our remote management system and how it can help you or your clients to get the most value out of choosing Teltonika Networks connectivity products. So first, some basic rules. Please be informed that we have our head of server department, Mantas Pranskūnas, who is attending the webinar as well. And well, apart from his official title, we simply call him the father of RMS, the leader of RMS. So he is more than happy to answer all of your questions that you can input using Q&A functionality in the Zoom. So I encourage you to just drop a question throughout the webinar if you want to, find out about more about one specific functionality or the other, and we will try to do our best to answer the questions throughout the duration of the webinar. We will review some questions after the webinar, and afterwards we will send all the questions to all participants, but we will keep your identity anonymous. Because I know some of you would like that. And also, when you ask the question, you can just click the checkbox if you want to stay anonymous while asking that question. And also, at the end of the seminar, we will have a quick 10-question poll simply to help gather the feedback, because feedback is the most important thing if you want to improve. Am I right? So let us begin. To begin with, we must understand what is Teltonika Remote Management System, what is RMS. So first, it is a web-based IoT platform that you can access using any popular web browser. So it is designed for advanced remote monitoring and management tasks. And primarily, it is compatible with all Teltonika Networks routers and gateways. But using the RMS, you can access other devices as well. And this is a very important functionality, which we will speak about in a bit more depth later on. So I'd like to start by reminding our product philosophy, which really revolves around reliability, security, and ease of use. So the same applies to RMS as well, because developing the platform, adding functionality, we constantly discuss how to make it more simple and easier to work with. In addition, it is highly secure. We use two-factor authentication. We just included biometric security method with Teltonika ID, which we will discuss in a little bit more depth later on as well. Also, the whole communication between devices and the platform is based on MQTT, which is secured with protected TLS protocols. And you can find a very detailed insights about the whole security mechanism behind RMS on our website in the RMS section. So finally, RMS is highly reliable because it is hosted on Amazon Web Services, on AWS. So Amazon Web Services has more than 1 million active enterprise users, including companies like Samsung, Netflix, or NASA, and arguably it is the safest cloud available today, with a multitude of certifications and attestations. So you can be sure that RMS will be online as far as Amazon Web Services is online, and that's quite reliable in my opinion. Now, in a nutshell, RMS saves your time and money simply by allowing full remote control of the system, including Teltonika Networks routers and gateways, and allows access other devices connected to them. Also, you can fully customize any alerts or reports you would like to see to help you make operational and business decisions. The best thing is you don't even need to have a public IP for that. And as many of you will appreciate, this feature alone can save significant amount of costs. Some who might have slightly less hands-on experience on configuring the routers or managing them might struggle to understand what is the point for remote monitoring and control. So I'd like to talk about some of the differences on how you interact with router management with or without RMS. Generally, I say if you have more than 5 routers, RMS makes sense. Simply because without it, you would have to make sure that the router or a gateway is accessible from the outside of the network. This includes having costly public IP. This includes exposing the device to perhaps unnecessary security risks, and managing a fleet of 10, 100, or 1,000 routers will take ages simply by accessing them individually, checking parameters or changing configuration, and most of you will agree, time is money, right? So another disadvantage of managing devices without RMS is really keeping your devices secure. Because every day new threats are appearing on our cybersecurity team is working constantly to keep our firmware, our device firmware up to date. So if you would not use RMS, you would have to update the firmware of devices manually. Whereas with it, you can update it instantly to truly an infinite number of devices. And they say that data is the new gold or the new oil, and I agree with that. Without RMS, you would really struggle to see the clear picture of your operation and solution, whereas with it, you have full traceability of any changes, full data logs, alerts, reports. We'll talk about this in much more depth in the upcoming slides. To summarize this quick introduction, RMS truly enables you to remotely and selectively configure any amount of Teltonika Networks routers and gateways. It allows to track performance with customizable reports, alerts, and charts. It allows to find all historical usage data and determine any reasons for unwanted interruptions. And finally, most importantly, it allows you to access other devices remotely that have web interface and that are connected to one of our routers or gateways. So to keep this more entertaining and more interactive, from the upcoming slides, I will show you how the actual RMS looks. Perhaps not everybody have tried it, and constantly we are making changes to it. So I think most of you will appreciate the demo. And like I said at the beginning, easy management is one of our main objectives. So for this, we have implemented customizable interfaces, advanced search features, including tag-based system, configurable widgets. So let me just switch the screen and let's take a look, okay? Right. So you should be seeing my RMS dashboard right here. This is where you start when you log in. And there are a few cool things I want to show you. So first, let's start with the basics, right? If we click on user settings, I can indicate an auto refresh, right? So this simply refreshes my whole information from the devices at any interval I want. If I'd like to disable it, I have that option as well. Let's go back to the main screen. So in this specific RMS account, I have several devices connected, and you can see them right here at the bottom. This table, where you see status, action, name, description, model, company name, is fully customizable. And that's a common feature for the whole dashboard. So if I would like to change a few table columns, I, for example, can include the firmware version. I can take out like company name to which a device is registered, and my table gets reconfigured. If the table is all that I want to see, I can maximize it. If I'd like to move around the columns, I can do that. Then let's talk a little bit about the widgets, because the widgets can help you to quickly see what's going on with your system, and you can also use it to filter. So, for example, I have a model widget, right? And I want to only see my RET950 routers. Bam, click on it, and this list filters to see only RET950. Click on it again, and I'm back to normal. Another thing I'd like to highlight, that you can customize everything. You can change the name of a router. For example, we have RET950 here, and I'll call it RET950 webinar, right? I save it, and if I use the search function, it will search according to all available parameters. So I'll just search for webinar, and you see the device is automatically filtered there. So coming back to all the devices, we can customize the name of the router, we can customize the description of the router, we can customize tags. And this is something I want to focus on. A lot. So tag-based system is something that we worked on for quite a while, because we always listen closely to our client feedback, and everybody's got different solutions, right? Some of you want to filter the devices by the engineers, different engineers that are operating the devices. Some of you want to distinguish on which floors of the factory the devices are. Some of you want to, I don't know, add different filtering options by the devices that are connected to the routers. So tag-based system is the answer to any imaginative filtering option. For example, here we have a few tags. They are all fully customizable, and I can create some now. So if we create a new tag or use an existing one, I can apply different tags to the same router. And if I search for if I filter based on a tag, it will show all the routers with that tag. So it really gives you, unlimited possibilities to make your overview window, make your management as convenient as possible. Right. Another thing that I want to show you is that you can always access the individual device as well, and you can configure the window you have here. You can add boxes with different parameters, or you can move them around. So the customization doesn't stop with the main overview window. Also, it's possible to make filters by company, different tags, device status, models, connection types to filter the same list. And of course, the widgets that you're seeing here, you can remove all of them, turn on different ones, etc. Right. So for now, I will move to our other screen where we have the slides. and move to the second feature that I really want to talk about in a bit more depth, because I really think that this is one of the most important features of Teltonika RMS, and we call it RMS access. So first things first. With RMS, you can not only view Teltonika routers and gateways, but you can access their web UI or terminal. I'll show you in a minute. Apart from that, the most impressive thing is that with it, you can use RMS to gain direct access to other non-Teltonika devices that are connected to our routers and gateways. Just they have to have some kind of web-based interface. So, this opens up quite incredible opportunities to use one system to manage your connectivity infrastructure, as well as control the whole solution from a single window. So let's take a look, all right? Good. So let me show you what I said about the first. And here, my engineer just created a tag RMS access to help me find which devices have this functionality, simply because, as you guys know, I'm a commercial guy. I'm not a technical guy. So this is another important thing to show you that not a technical person can work with a very powerful technical tool, right? So let's get into one of the routers with RMS access tag. Let's choose this one. When I'm inside, I see many different information panels, but here in the device access window, I see a few options. So with every Teltonika router or a gateway, you will always have the ability to access command line interface and the web UI. Let's try that. Okay, here we go. I'm in this RET X11's command line interface or terminal. Let's move on. Also, I can access web UI. Here, I can generate a link for the access and show how long I want that hyperlink to be functional, to be accessible. I'll just use standard. Standard is like 30 minutes. Okay, I have this link, which I can copy and share. And if I click on it, just let me do this. Perhaps on another device. Anyway, I want to show you how to access a different device that is connected to the router. And this router is a home router connected to Teltonika X11. Right, we have a Technicolor. So I'm using RMS to connect to Teltonika X11 router, and through it connect to other router that is connected to it. I know this might sound a little bit confusing, but I will highlight this in a few more slides for all of us to get to know that. So coming back to the slides, I think it's easier to explain with a real-life application case, for example, right? So imagine you're sitting in one location, London, Stockholm, Manila, whatever. You just need to have a laptop or a PC, internet, that's it. You can access RMS. And you have your infrastructure. You have your infrastructure all over the world, right? Let's say it's heating, ventilation controllers. So you connect Teltonika gateway or a router to any of those controllers. You make sure that they have connectivity using cellular or wired interfaces, and you can access any of the controllers from anywhere in the world, right? So with Teltonika devices and RMS, you can stay in control of the infrastructure that's thousands of miles away without any local presence. Let me just come back to the RMS real quick. I wanted to just come back to this device access pane and show you the web UI access as well. Well, here we go. We have the interface of the X11, and we have access to another router connected to it, which is Technicolor. I'm sure you will have questions regarding this, and Mantas on the Q&A panel is just more than happy to answer them. All right, let's move on to some other features that I think are going to be really interesting for you. Now, multi-config and firmware updates. So with multi-config, you can configure multiple parameters at once with any selection of RMS connected devices. No matter if you have 10, 100,000, 100,000 devices, you're able to do this in a single window, and you're able to change parameters of all of your selected devices in one click. So once again, you can use tag-based system or any set of devices that you wish. In addition, we will speak about firmware updates and why this is important, but let me just show you configuration and multi-config functionality first, all right? Good, so let's say I wanna change configuration to all of my RUT 950s that I have in my RMS. Okay, let's get them filtered. Here, I have 3 different devices from RUT 950 family. I select all of them, and I go to configuration, and I click on configure device. I see I have some different firmware. So this is a good demo, because you gotta make sure that the firmware of the devices is the same version for them to work with multi-config, but that's not a problem. Let us, for example, choose the RET 240s. So we go to the device configurator, and on the left we see the devices that we selected. Here we see some of the like feature lists, some of the things that we can configure. And let's say I want to force these devices to use SIM2 with a custom APN, which is ABC. I want to put a SMS limit on SIM2 for a day of, let's say, 200. Good. And I want to put well, perhaps deny that data roaming, right? So I selected many different configuration scenarios, and on the right I have the full list of these different configurations that I want to make before I implement them. If I mess up somewhere, and I'm fully aware that APN ABC might not be the correct one, so I can just in whatever window I am, I can just click on APN and come back to the same window to make sure I input the correct data. Once I hit save, I get the full list of configurations before they are implemented to all devices at once. All right? So I'm sure some of you might notice that there could be more, let's say, specifications that can be configured. And in this case, we're working like in any case with our partners. If there is something that you want to have here that it isn't here, get in touch and we'll get it done. Another thing that there's a good opportunity to show you, if you click this little button right here, you can have multiple windows opened at the same time, and you can come back to them anytime. So it's not a single window interface. Another thing that I want to highlight is firmware updates. So with multi-config, you can update all devices with the latest or with factory firmware, and some devices with entirely custom firmware, which you can store on RMS as well. This can save really incredible amount of time and make sure that your solution is as functional and secure as possible. So let's take a look how to take care of the firmware. So I'm just monitoring the chat to make sure that everybody's having the good connection from our side. So it seems that all is well. Okay, select the devices that you want to upgrade. And let's update firmware. You see, one click, two click. Here, once again, I have the list, which devices I want to upgrade. I see the firmware versions of such devices, and I can choose several options, right? So I can choose a factory firmware. So it's a firmware version that our devices leave the factory with. Pretty self-explanatory. I have the latest firmware, which is the very latest firmware that is verified and available. And then I have all the custom firmwares that I can get customized by Teltonika Networks, or I can do them myself, because as most of you know, we work with a very open system, with open WRT-based system. And once I select the firmware, hit select, go with the process, and all of the devices are updated at once. Mantas, who's the father of RMS, might correct me, but he told me a story about a client who was updating, I think, 15,000 devices at once. There were no problems. So with the remote management system hosted on Amazon Web Services and built as it is built, there is no problem, no bottlenecks to update a huge amount of devices. Now, if I go to firmware section, I see all of the custom firmwares that are in my RMS account, and I can simply go File, Add New, add the firmware from File, and keep it on my RMS account. No problem with that. All right? So let's come back to the slides. And with multi-config and overall configuration, I wanted to tell you one interesting case which happened here in Lithuania. So there is this bus company that's generally doing intercity service. It's called Fota, and they're a good client. Although Lithuania is not that big of a country, we don't have that much of buses. But Fota wanted 500 cellular routers to simply install in buses and provide passenger Wi-Fi. As always, we suggested, well, why don't you use RMS? 500 buses is not that, a small amount. And they said, no, we don't need RMS. We're saving costs. We just need the product. We set them up once and they're working, right? As always, we don't need any management. We ain't gonna change a thing. Okay. 2 months afterwards, we get a call. They say, so you remember you mentioned this RMS. Fast forward, they told us their problems with management started when they realized that they had to change router passwords and Wi-Fi passwords every month, due to the security procedures that they had that they weren't clear about before. And they told us that two of their engineers, two of their tech guys, were only changing passwords and doing nothing else from 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon for 2 weeks, just to change the passwords. Once they got started with RMS, that one guy was able to do that in 10 minutes. And depending on which password change we're talking about, either Wi-Fi or the router, I would like to show you how you can stay more secure with your deployments with RMS, because we just quite recently implemented a password change functionality. Let me show you. Right, so if we choose several devices, or let's say I want to choose all devices with the tag Vilnius. And we have password management. Well, I might want to see more devices. Okay, let's say I want to change passwords for all devices right now. Okay, I go to password management. And here, RMS can help you change passwords to your devices. So we can either generate a random password, change to it, and allow you to download the list of the passwords. You can set desired password, unify it across your deployment. You can import and set passwords through CSV file, or see the generated passwords here and download them once. So I'm sure you're going to have more questions about this functionality, but what I want to say is that cybersecurity is a real tough topic, but what we can do, at least what we can do, very, very simply, is to make sure that we have strong passwords and change them frequently. You know, that's the least we can do to make sure we're secure. Then, you know, it's like a hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth. You got to make sure that your passwords are constantly updated. Right, let's move on with the presentation. So I'd say that staying informed is important when you're responsible for infrastructure that's both crucial to you and to your clients' businesses. So real-time RMS alert system can help you do that. And you can customize alerts for any devices added to RMS and receive email notifications. Once again, it's better to show rather than tell, right? So let's head into the RMS dashboard, and let's select, I don't know, any product. Let's go with the RET X09. I see participants raising hands. I hope the connection. People are saying need to leave because completely unstable internet connection. You must not, you're probably not running Teltonika cellular routers. Anyway, I hope next time everybody's going to have a little bit better connection. Let's move on. So I select a product, RET X09. I go to alerts, create alerts. And I can choose different scenarios like signal strength, SIM switch, status change, mobile data, and customize whatever alert I would like. I put in a phone number that I want to get alert to, and I can customize the message with all the available parameters. So I can configure to not only receive a message, mobile data disconnected on this device, but I can also see different parameters in the same message, like connection state, event type, SIM slot in use, etc. And one thing I missed to show you guys at the very beginning that I think it's quite important is that you can click here on the bottom right, and if you're a new user to RMS, I advise you do that, start tour. We are explaining the whole interface with this easy tutorial. And you can always, refresh what you know about RMS. If there's still some questions, right here, you can get links to community support page, which is very active. You can go to the wiki where we explain a lot about RMS, like about our other devices. So summarizing the alerts functionality, you can review existing alerts which aren't configured at the moment, or you can create entirely new ones for your situation. So you gotta find out if something is wrong immediately. That's the main purpose of the alerts. As we said previously, system operators can track the health and efficiency of their solution using customizable activity alerts. They can also use activity reports and statistics, which can be instant or periodic, and we save all reports inside RMS, and you can access them anytime. As with most features in remote management system, you can customize them as you wish to see only the data that's important to you. Let's take a look at activity reports and statistics. Right, so on the left, we have the section reports. And it is split between two different tables. So we have single reports and we have periodic reports that get differentiated by day, week, or a month. And once again, like with everything, this is up to you to set up. So let's create a report. Let's create a single report. Webinar test report for showing you guys the functionality. I want to see last week. I want to apply it for device, and I want to see these devices. Like you saw, I can apply it to a tag or a company, so very easy to choose what I want to see. I want to see router uptime, I want to see temperature, I want to see connection type, and that's pretty much it. That's enough for me. So I created this report just now with you, and let's generate it. Good. Here in front of me, I have all that I requested. It indicates what is the data time frame. I can click download and download it in PDF. No problem. I can once again go in and edit the report template. And I can see past reports generated with the same criteria. So the one that we chose, that we created together just now, obviously only has one iteration. But if we have a report that we use quite often, I can review the different reports with the same criteria created on different time. Also, if we talk about periodic reports, this is quite new as well. But if this would be active for many days, I would see the whole history, and I could access the whole history. Right, so that's a quick look into into report functionality. So everything that's going on with your devices is stored within RMS for you to access. You can reach absolutely any historical data and really identify what went wrong and who might be responsible, because nobody likes a witch hunt, but in business, if the infrastructure that you're responsible for suffers, you gotta find the root of the problem. You gotta find what went wrong. And this helps to monitor user and system activity to identify any anomalies, even if you didn't have any alerts or reports set up in advance. So let's take a look how this works with RMS. Let me just come back to the central management window. And let's take a look at any device. Okay, this one was added quite recently, so it doesn't have that much history. Let's try with this one. Right. You see, I access the device which has been connected to this specific account for a considerable amount of time, and I can check any date and view specific parameter history. For example, what was the network state? Boom, I got 12 pages of data. Also, I can take a look at a chart which is customizable with all data that's accessible. And even though I can see specific ones, I can just take it, scroll it, and see it in a different time frame. So you really can bend the data, use the data about your devices for analytical and informational purposes as much as possible. Now, let's move on to some map features. And the thing that we can do here is really view devices on the map, manage them based on location. And let's first distinguish how RMS knows the location of your devices. So most of you know that we manufacture some routers that have a GPS functionality, right? So if you configure it right, if you enable it, your RMS will know where your devices are, and you'll be able to see where they've been. So not a full like a tracker functionality yet, but we're working on it. But you can see where your devices are. If your device does not have GPS, no problem. There are two options. We can show you the location of such device with a radius based on the cell tower triangulation, or you can input the location of the device manually. And why you might want to do this can be reflected with just a normal life use case, right? So let's say I am managing vending machines all over Czech Republic, right? And somebody calls me and says, oh, the vending machine in Prague in this and this street went down. So what I can do with RMS, I can go into the map. I can well, let's use an example, Prague Castle. The vending machine in Prague Castle went down. Okay, I search for Prague Castle, I find it, and I know that this is the vending machine that he's talking about. I take a look, I go to the information, and here in the access link, I access the controller of the vending machine. It's that simple. That's just one small example how to utilize the location-based management with your devices. And here I can search any place, for example, Kaunas, where I'm sitting right now, 2 devices connected in our office. one in a gas station. That's it. So just a few tips about location-based management. I'd like to summarize. RMS is great if you want to have remote access to all of your devices in a single platform. It is a client-server-based system, which provides the possibility to access devices remotely even without the use of public IP addresses. Although, with them, no problem as well. You can access not only our routers and gateways, but also any equipment with web interface connected to them. And with RMS, you can manage massive solutions deployed all over the world, easily and securely. Important thing to know is that RMS is compatible with all of the devices you see right here, and with all the upcoming devices that we're going to have from router and gateway families. Even the smallest, most simple gateway that we have, tier B140 or tier B142, 141, they're also able to connect to RMS. Now, most of our partners always emphasize that use case scenarios are very important to them. That's the most interesting thing. So, important thing to understand regarding the RMS is that this platform adds value to absolutely all use cases of our routers and gateways. And the general rule of thumb we use is that if you have more than 5 devices deployed, RMS makes sense because it will save your time and management costs. And it will save you from device management hell, which is accessing every single device individually, making sure they're available. It's just, not worth it. In the majority of usage scenarios, having full control of the system remotely is really extremely valuable. And let's take a look at a few examples, okay? Some of you might know this specific use case, but I'm just going to get you up to speed real quick. Basically, we're talking about ATMs, cash machines. And in majority of the cases, ATMs are always connected to the internet via cable, via wired WAN. But that's not enough because cable internet goes down. And in most cases, almost all cases in Europe, all ATMs, all cash machines have a cellular backup. And cellular backup is done generally using a cellular router. So naturally, in this case, we're showcasing RET X09. So if the internet goes down in an ATM, it switches to cellular. What you can do with RMS, you can configure alerts for you to receive when cellular data is activated. This way, you know that wired infrastructure went down, and with GPS, you can visualize at which locations. You can generate SIM data consumption reports, and you can schedule the maintenance of wired internet connectivity. Because, like, if you go fix everything at the moment that you find out that it's broken, that's going to get real expensive. Scheduling is one of the most important ways to get the costs down. Fun fact, actually, we had a client in Russia who insisted on having a router with GPS for ATM case, and we asked why. Because at the same time, he wanted to save money, to have really, as least expensive device as possible, but at the same time, he wanted GPS, and we said why. Basically, they had a case in the past where the whole ATM got stolen. So now their solution with a cellular router and GPS functionality, and also additional battery backup, not only provides management insights, but also can help in a situation where the whole physical ATM gets stolen. However, I don't think that that's very common these days. I hope not. If we move on to another case study where we analyze powder coating systems, now that's really quite close to my competence, because in the past I used to work with powder coating systems, and one thing I can tell you is that powder coating systems are expensive. they cost millions of euros, the professional ones at least. And they're very difficult to set up, and they're very difficult to adapt to the different things that you want to powder coat, so to say. And the difference in settings can have dramatic effect on the usage of the powder itself. Just a few voltage steps that you change can increase your consumption of powder by 20%, let's say. So what we have here is that a cellular router is connected to the powder coating control system, to a controller, which means that you can send consumption data and everything to the manufacturer of the machine, and the tech support of the manufacturer can consult you based on that data, and not only consult, but using RMS, using RET240 connected to the powder coating control system, access and configure the system for you. So it's a remote engineer configuration, it's a setup optimization. Apart from all the alerts and usage reports and location-based management that you can do, that you can understand from the features we looked at previously. If we would go to a case study about intelligent traffic systems, well, here the case is really quite similar to the ATM one, where we have a wired WAN backup. But in our city, in Kaunas, we had a case when basically the whole ITS system went down, and the system operators used RMS to access each individual controller and make necessary adjustments. So with this, you can actually monitor the health of the system, see when wired WAN is down, see when cellular data is activated, get SIM data consumption reports, schedule maintenance of wired internet networks, and eventually, in the, let's say, uncommon cases of when the whole system is down, get access to each individual device. The final case that I wanted to show you today is really quite powerful, and it's essentially a business plan in itself. So let's think of your office. Let's think of the shopping center that you go to. Let's think of any private or public institution, right? We have internet everywhere. And to manage high throughput internet infrastructure in any of these locations, we might have a rack, or we might have a server room, right? Where we have the main router. In many cases, that's Cisco ISR, Integrated Services Router. For the purpose of this use case, we will call it the main router. Now, configuring Cisco is not simple. Not every IT guy can do that. They have universities, they have courses, they have certifications. It's real tough business. And therefore, the tech support is quite expensive. So, well, generally it's like perhaps $150 an hour. So what quite few of our partners do, they take RET955, connect it to the console port of the main router, and this way they solve a few problems. If you want to do a remote configuration to the main router, you can do that with Cisco analog of RMS, but I assure you that it's much more expensive. Well, much more might be an understatement. I'd say perhaps 100 times more expensive. So you might want to go for RMS instead. Then, if your main router loses internet connectivity, you can grant a backup with the 955 and still access it using RMS access feature. And in an unlikely but possible case, when your Cisco ISR goes down or glitches out, you most likely just need to restart it. Send engineer for an hour or hour and a half drive there. You got to pay him for driving there, connecting a LAN cable into the console port and restarting it or reconfigure it. all of this can be done with RMS. So with RET 955 and RMS, you can either access the web UI or straight go into the terminal of a main router of a, let's say, small, medium business infrastructure or a large business. So out-of-band management is incredibly powerful business, and it's just going to grow. So there were questions at the very beginning about the security, and I said that this is one of our development areas where we focus the most. One of our key priorities, developing the system. And like I said, you can find the full security mechanism described on our website, but overall, keeping it quick, we use two-factor authentication with biometric authentication methods supported by Teltonika ID. Let me just quickly start my video, and I'll show you Teltonika ID in action, all right? So you guys should be seeing me right now in a small screen, and then I'll share my RMS screen that you've seen before, all right? So we are logged in, no problem, but let's just log out for the demonstration purposes. Here I have my work phone. It's not that powerful, but any phone works with Teltonika ID, and I click login on Teltonika RMS. Now I'm waiting for RMS ID, and it just pops out automatically. I click accept, and then I'll just use my my face. Yeah, it just registered my face, said good to go, and I'm all logged in on RMS. So that's in my research the first device management platform that you can secure with biometric authentication. Okay, getting back to the presentation. The device communicates with the platform using TLS, secured MQTT, confirming with TLS 1.3 standards. And like I said, RMS is hosted on Amazon Web Services, which is considered even safer than most on-premise server configurations. Now, this is all just, nice talk, but we have tested and verified RMS security with the help of Bell Canada and forensic cybersecurity teams. And they have validated RMS security while testing it based on OWASP Level 2 and CIS V7 methodologies. Once again, I encourage you to drop additional questions regarding this topic, because it's very important to understand the RMS security mechanism, because with great power comes great responsibility, right? Next, I would like to show you what plans we have for RMS, and we have quite big plans for RMS this year. So first, Teltonika ID. Just showcased it to you. It's just a simple way to add additional layer of security while logging into RMS. And in the future, it might be used with additional Teltonika products or services. Next, we're planning an RMS API, something that you asked for many months, and a lot of our clients are waiting for this because it simply means that you can take the good stuff from RMS and implement it in your platform. So you don't need to use RMS and your platform. You'll be able to merge the two and have an incredible solution. Then, sensor connectivity. With sensor connectivity, all sensors that are compatible with MQTT will be able to send and store data on RMS. In addition, using this, we will be able to store Modbus data on RMS as well. And this means that you'll be able to take a wired or a Bluetooth sensor connected to one of our routers and not only track sensor data on RMS, but also configure specific actions to happen based on the sensor reading values. This goes into the topic of alert expansion, because clients will be able to manage alert creation by choosing parameters in any way they want. More than 80 alert parameters incoming. So for example, when, let's say, you have sensor that measures temperature in a room. You connect that sensor with a Teltonika router that has Bluetooth, and you send the sensor data to RMS. You can configure an alert that if the room temperature coming in from this router, from this specific sensor, reaches a certain point, then activate another router's, let's say, digital output or digital input, and turn on some kind of a, I don't know, air conditioner. The possibilities with this kind of interconnectivity and with this kind of functionality are really just, just limited by imagination. Last but not least, we are working on RMS Connect. The easiest way to tell you what it is essentially AnyDesk functionality. You guys use AnyDesk? With RMS, you'll be able to connect to any device which runs Windows, Mac OS, or Linux using RMS and simply control it as you would be sitting in front of the same device. Pretty well, right? So to finish, there are different versions of RMS. Standard, that you've seen me using, which is hosted on Amazon Web Services, just, no trouble, no fuss. Rebranded, so if you don't want to see Teltonika credentials on RMS, no problem. We give you the same platform, we just rebrand it according to your demands. But, we got to talk about this on a case-to-case basis. And we can do on-premises RMS with your local hardware. We have clear hardware requirements, and this is not advisable for most companies because that's going to be more complex than just getting some RMS credits and running the standard version. But governments, financial institutions, banks, some institutions really need a local RMS version. So we do that for them. Well, and for any other projects. So I hope you learned something new today, and this topic was interesting for you. And